Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're doing a deep dive into the world of Taylor Jenkins Reid, but we're moving a bit beyond the rock stars and tennis icons.
Right, into a different kind of high-stakes arena.
Exactly. We're looking at a detailed review of her novel Atmosphere, which takes us right into, well, the heart of NASA.
Specifically NASA during the Space Shuttle program of the 1980s.
Quite a setting.
It's a huge shift in setting, yeah, but that high-intensity emotional core she's known for it's absolutely there. Our sources give us an incredible breakdown.
So what's our mission for this deep dive?
Well, we want to distill the narrative structure, really analyze the core emotional conflicts, and, present the critical consensus.
We want you to understand how this book manages to blend this highly technical world with some really intense personal drama.
That's the key blend, isn't it? Merging the macroscopic, the engineering, the risks of space travel with the microscopic.
The day-to-day struggles, the identity, the secret love of the people making it all happen.
And what's fascinating is that the 1980s NASA setting, it isn't just a backdrop. It almost becomes its own character.
An antagonist, even.
In a way, yeah. An antagonist to their personal lives.
Okay, so let's start with the protagonist. The absolute star of the show here is Joan Goodwin.
And the reviews all describe her as fiercely brilliant, really determined.
And just entirely focused on succeeding in a world that, frankly, was not built for her to succeed in.
And Joan's ambition is laser-focused on one single role, becoming Capcom.
Capsule communicator. Can you break that down a bit? What does that actually mean?
It's not just a desk job. In mission control, Capcom is the highest pressure communication role. It's the sole point of contact between Earth and the astronauts.
So you're the only voice they hear.
The only voice. It requires perfect calm, split-second decision-making, and, total professional credibility.
And the novel structure is built around her fight for that credibility, right? It's not a straight line.
No, not at all. The narrative constantly shifts between Joan's past, her studies, her entry into a deeply sexist NASA, the fight to be taken seriously.
And her present.
And her present, yeah, where she's working on these huge, critical, active missions.
That structure sounds crucial.
It is, because it gives you the context for the immense risk she's taking in the present, not just professionally.
But personal.
Personally. And this leads us to the major emotional core of the book. Her secret romantic relationship with Vanessa Ford.
And Vanessa isn't just some random person. She is an astronaut.
An astronaut.
Yeah.
Actively training, actively trying to get a seat on a shuttle mission.
Which just adds a whole other layer of tension right from the start.
Precisely. Vanessa's dream of going to space comes with this inherent physical risk. It's a literal life or death scenario baked into her job.
And that mirrors the risk Joan is taking.
Exactly. The huge social and professional risk Joan takes by being in this relationship in 1980s America, especially inside a place like NASA.
Yeah, a hyper-visible government-run institution.
It's a really powerful exploration of how ambition and identity can just clash.
So to keep this story from just being this high-pressure cooker, the sources say Reid grounds Joan with her family.
Her sister, Barbara, and her niece, Frances.
And that domestic side adds this layer of warmth, of complexity. It shows you that Joan is striving for a whole life, not just professional glory.
A whole life that has to remain completely segmented.
And that segmentation gets tested.
Oh, absolutely. All these threads, her job, her secret, her family, they all converge in this one moment of incredible tension.
A shuttle malfunction.
The shuttle malfunction. It threatens the lives of the crew, and it forces Joan into a position that tests every single professional limit she has.
And it inevitably bleeds into her personal world.
I think that's why the critical consensus seems to be so positive. Let's dig into the strengths, starting with that character development.
Right. Joan is described as being so layered. She's ambitious, she's competent, of course, but she's also emotional and conflicted.
And inspiring, because she's fighting this two-front war, one against, gravity and the other against the culture.
And building on that, the intimate relationships are a massive strength. The reviews are really specific about this.
The relationship between Joan and Vanessa is written with a lot of subtlety and care. It's not melodramatic.
Right. It avoids the cliches. It's focused on the genuine struggle for connection when you're under this constant pressure of secrecy.
Which brings us to another point I found really compelling. The NASA realism.
Okay, so it's fiction. But how real does it feel?
The sources praise Reid's research into the 1980s NASA environment. This isn't just a generic office with space posters on the wall.
It's more than the jargon.
Much more. It's the whole atmosphere of mission control. The intense hierarchy, the specific pressures, the way astronaut training isolates you, physically and mentally.
So it makes her ambition feel really concrete. You understand what she's fighting for.
Exactly. And that realism provides the perfect pressure chamber for the central themes to really take shape.
Ambition and identity.
The first and most obvious is women in male-dominated fields. How do you navigate a STEM world when the system is actively working against you?
And second, the cost of love and secrecy.
Yeah. In the 80s, you couldn't just compartmentalize. Hiding a relationship like that meant risking everything, your job, your reputation, all of it.
And the sources say that this focus, this ambition versus identity, it isn't muddying the waters. It is the water.
That's a great way to put it. The third theme is that constant struggle to balance this relentless ambition with the basic need for a personal life. Can you be the best Capcom with that kind of secret?
And it all funnels into this final theme. Discovering your true identity when the world demands you conform.
Conform to gender roles, to the NASA standard, to societal norms. It's a lot.
That is a staggering amount of thematic weight, but the reviews say the book lands it.
It does, which leads to this powerful emotional impact. It's described as heartfelt, hopeful, and deeply reflective.
High praise for a story set in what was a very intense, often dangerous period of history.
But, in the spirit of a true deep dive, we have to look at the other side, the critical balance.
It's not a seamless experience for every reader.
No. The sources do point out a couple of perceived weaknesses.
One that came up a lot was the slow start.
Yeah, when you have to build out the complexities of 1980s NASA, Joan's backstory, and this secret relationship, it takes time.
So if you're expecting immediate shuttle action, you might find the initial pacing a bit of a challenge.
And structurally, there's another note about maybe having too many characters.
To build that realistic world, you need the mission directors, the other Capcoms, astronauts, engineers.
Family members. And while it adds to the realism, the sheer number of side players can feel a bit overwhelming at times. It can pull focus.
I think that raises a really necessary point about setting your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into this book expecting a hard sci-fi thriller, like a deep dive into orbital mechanics or political drama,
You might be disappointed. The reviews warn that the book is lighter in those purely scientific or political areas. It's not The Martian.
no. It's a critical distinction to make. This novel uses NASA as a setting for character and emotional exploration.
The strong focus on romance and the emotional tone, that's the defining characteristic here. It's unapologetically emotion-heavy.
And understanding that it's historical fiction driven by heart, not by technical manuals, is really key.
Exactly. If you prefer plot over pathos, this one might not be for you.
But if you're on board with that focus, the payoff is apparently huge. So what's the final word here? The overall verdict.
The verdict is pretty clear. Atmosphere is a powerful, emotional, and inspiring novel. It perfectly captures women in STEM, love under pressure, and the human cost of chasing these impossible dreams.
It's an effective, moving blend of documented history and fictional heart.
So knowing that, we can really define who is going to love this novel. If you are a reader who thrives on character-driven stories,
Where the internal emotional life of the protagonist is the main event.
this is absolutely for you.
And if you enjoy historical fiction that's blended seamlessly with romance, especially if you're interested in that unique NASA setting, it's a perfect fit.
Plus, anyone who appreciates strong, complex female leads overcoming systemic hurdles will find Joan Goodwin incredibly compelling.
And of course, it's highly recommended for readers seeking thoughtful, well-written LGBTQ plus love stories.
Yeah, especially ones set against these unique high-pressure backdrops. The depth of the source material we looked at really underscores how much there is to unpack in this story.
This whole deep dive has been focused on this tension, right? The tension between public ambition and private identity.
Especially in careers that demand everything from you.
So we have to end with a final thought for you, the listener, to carry forward from this.
Mm-hmm.
What is the emotional cost of pursuing an impossible, dreamlike being Capcom or an astronaut in that era when achieving it requires you to hide or to constantly risk the one deep foundational personal connection that you have?
That tension, that constant, quiet war between your duty and your desire, that's what defines this novel.
It really forces you to ask what you'd be willing to compromise.
And for what purpose?
A massive question, and one that's brilliantly explored at Atmosphere. If any of these threads snagged your interest, you know exactly what novel to explore next. Thanks for diving in with us.